Here we go. A Little Stranger, chapter 30. About to be done probably after this chapter. If I have to say it's 2 more, if anything, it's probably going to be 1. Nice and short and easy. Wayside School was no fun anymore. Hey, out of my way, Buster, said Dee Dee as she pushed past Ron on her way to her seat. Hey, keep your hairy paws to yourself, said Ron. Nobody had any friends. Everybody hated everybody except Miss Nolan. They all liked her, but then a miracle happened. A new kid came to school. The new kid couldn't talk. She had no teeth. She was almost bald. See how I'm reading a little bit, and they say after 20 minutes your eyes get tired, so don't mind me, guys. I'm telling you. I try to speed read sometimes too, just because I'll be so hyped to finish. So the new kid couldn't talk. She had no teeth. She was almost bald. She was beautiful. Her name was Mavis Jules, which is funny. I was going to say the first teacher's name was Miss Jules. Her name was Mavis Jules. She was only 4 days old. She really was a new kid. Miss Jules carried her into the classroom, and when the baby came through the door, all the hate flew out the window. Louis came in behind them carrying a bassinet, a diaper bag, an assortment of toys, and a baby bottle. It's Mrs. Jules and her baby, Todd exclaimed. Louis set the bassinet on Todd's desk. Miss Jules gently laid her baby down on it, on soft yellow blankets. Everyone crowded around the little stranger. Look at her totally tiny toes, Bibi squealed. Aren't those the cutest things you've ever seen in your whole life? Check out her nose, said Myron. Oh, she's so beautiful, Miss Jules, said Joy. Can I touch her? Sure, said Miss Jules. They took turns touching the baby. Goo goo goo, said Mac as he gently shook Mavis's little hand. Iggle wiggle poo poo, said Allison, tapping her on the nose. Iggle wiggle poo poo poo, said Rondi, tickling her foot. Yibble bibble, said Todd. Woo goo boo boo, cooed Joe. She's never going to learn to talk around you kids, said Miss Jules with a laugh. Dana was so happy she cried. She hugged Mrs. Jules. They all took turns hugging Miss Jules. Of course, there was one person who wasn't happy. May I told her, Mrs. Jules? Miss Nogert asked sweetly. May I hold her, Miss Jules? Miss Nogert asked sweetly. Miss Jules looked at the substitute teacher. It's okay, said Allison. Miss Nogert's a real nice teacher. Even though they all hate each other now, but this is supposed to be the cooling man. Sure, go ahead, said Miss Jules. It's ironic, they all think she's a good teacher, and she's doing this secret little agenda to make them kind of bug on each other, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Sure, go ahead, said Miss Jules. I'm sorry for interrupting your class like this. Oh, that's quite all right, said Miss Nogert, picking up Miss Jules' baby. She's just adorable. The window by Sherry's desk was wide open, but that's kind of dangerous, Miss Nogert realized. Somebody might accidentally drop something out the window. She slowly moved toward it as she swayed with the baby. I've heard so much about you, Mrs. Jules, she said. The children have missed you. I've missed them too, said Miss Jules. There was a rubber band ball on the floor next to Sherry's desk. Sherry had been making it, although it wasn't nearly as big as the one Mr. Kisswater had been making. If I tripped over that rubber band ball, something awful might happen, thought Miss Nogert. She was just about to step on it when suddenly she became very curious about the kind of thoughts babies had. She had never listened to a baby's brain before. Miss Nogert held Mavis close to her heart and listened. She gasped, her face turned white and her legs wobbled beneath her. As she tried to get her balance, she stepped on the rubber band ball and fell toward the open window. Louis jumped over Sherry's desk and grabbed her just in time. Mrs. Jules hurried over. Miss Nogert tenderly handed Mrs. Jules her baby. Then she fainted in Louis's arms. It is impossible to describe in words exactly what Miss Nogert heard when she listened to Mavis's brain. Babies don't think in words. Miss Nogert heard pure love and trust and faith with no words to get in the way. It was a love so strong that it dissolved away all the bitterness that had been caked around her heart. Like the Grinch, she opened her eyes. Are you all right, Miss Nogert? Asked Stephen. All the children were very worried about her. Miss Nogert smiled at Louis, who was still holding her. I'm fine, she said, and took a couple of steps to steady herself. In fact, I think I'm better than I've been in a long time, she laughed, then hugged Stephen. You should feel very proud of your class, she told Miss Jules. They are bright, well-behaved, and just a pleasure to teach. We are? Asked Mauricia. Miss Nogert fluffed Mauricia's hair. Yes, you are, she said. Mauricia smiled up at her. I know, said Miss Jules, as I told my obstetrician. Your what? Asked Joy. Obstetrician, said Miss Jules. That's the doctor who helped me have my baby. Then once a baby is born, she gets a new doctor. The doctor is called a pediatrician. That's different from a podiatrist. I swear I knew that one. Podiatrist, who is a doctor who takes care of people's feet. There are many different kinds of doctors. There are also Todd raised his hand. Miss Jules, they do that a lot, like interrupt sentences halfway. Todd raised his hand. Miss Jules, you're starting to get a little boring, he said. Miss Jules made Todd write his name on the blackboard under the word discipline. Hey, Lewis. That's something they did in the beginning, too. Hey, Lewis. I think it was the same kid, too. Doing the same joke. Like, you're getting boring. All kids doing it young. Hey, Lewis, shouted Mac. Asked Miss Snowgird out on a date. Hey, Lewis, shouted Mac. Asked Miss Snowgird out on a date. Everyone looked at Lewis. Miss Snowgird looked at him, too. Do it, Lewis, said Leslie. I really would like to get to know you better, said Miss Snowgird. He said. Ooh, said Paul and Leslie. Way to go, Lewis, cheered DJ. Call me Wendy, said Wendy Snowgird. Ooh, said Bibi and Calvin. Okay, Wendy, said Lewis, and you can call me Lewis. I already do, said Wendy. She smiled at him. He smiled back. So what do you say? He asked. Would you like to go out sometime? Miss Snowgird hesitated. Say yes, Miss Snowgird, urged Jenny. Miss Snowgird took a deep breath. I like you, Lewis, she said, but I think there is something you should know about me first. She bent over and parted the hair on top of her head. Everyone crowded around as they tried to get a good look. It's an ear, shouted Jason. Yes, it is an ear, said Miss Snowgird. Cool, said Terrence. Can I touch it? Asked Dana. Everyone took turns touching her ear, the one on top of her head, I mean. So, Lewis, are you sure you still want to go out with me? She asked. Lewis held her hands in his. I like you a lot, he said. It doesn't matter how many ears you have. And he paused for a second. How many ears do you have? Question mark. Just 3, she assured him. I think your ears are beautiful, said Lewis. I think your nose and eyebrows are beautiful. Miss Snowgird didn't have to read Lewis's mind to know he was telling the truth. She could see it in his eyes. His eyes were like the moon. She kissed him. His mustache tickled. Everybody, ooh. And that's it. And 1 second.